England, my God. I mean, I've got enough to say, but I want to get your opinions. They won, but not without a million questions, because once again, I felt that it was very unimaginative, sort of hesitant. And to me, Gareth Southgate's biggest weakness is what he does or he doesn't do during games. Is reactionary management, in-game tactics. What did you make of that game against Serbia? I know you've talked about it past, but really looking ahead to Denmark, what does England need to do here to not just win, but really win as what they're meant to be, one of the favorites in Euro 2024?
Well, Gareth Southgate's biggest weakness is Gareth Southgate.
Because, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Because his approach, in his credit, he has taken England from a bad place in 2016 to being regularly talked about as a competitor in a major competition. But 2018, 2020, Euro 2020, and the World Cup in France in 2022. Whenever they play a good team that can keep the ball, that can cause problems, that forces England to try and dictate the play, they struggle. And that is, first of all, down to his tactics and his selections, and also how he uses the players. Now, he's trying to cram all the best players into the England team. We've seen before over years and years and years, and Steve, you'll know this about John Barnes. John Barnes, one of the greatest players that England's ever produced, an absolutely outstanding player for Liverpool, never quite produced in an England shirt. And maybe he was persevered with too long because it didn't fit the system that he probably thrived in. But, Phil Foden may become the modern day John Barnes, and hopefully not. But sometimes you have to look at the players and think, yes, you've got outstanding players, but a less able player might be better for the team than the player that you're picking. Because for me, Bukayo Saka and Phil Foden, I don't think they can play in the same team. They both want to play in the same position. So by playing Phil Foden out on the right, on the left, you kind of diminishing his abilities. So I'm not saying that. They won the game. They won the game and the top of the group. And I think Denmark, for me, this group, it gets progressively easier for England. Serbia, for me, are the better team in the group. Denmark, less good than Serbia, and then Slovenia. I don't think Denmark are very good. I think we saw Christian Eriksen in the Premier League. He hasn't got the legs anymore to impact a game. Rasmus Højlund hits and miss for Man United. So I don't think Denmark have anything that England should fear. It should be an opportunity for England to show what they're capable of. But I think for that to happen, Southgate has to be bold and make a big call in the team. Maybe he's got to drop Trent Alexander-Arnold, because I don't quite know why he's playing the right back in midfield. You've got midfielders like Kobe Mainoo and Adam Wharton who can play that role. So, again, putting the big names in the team, overlooking players who are probably better at that position, it's a classic England mistake. All the time it happens. Gerrard and Lampard. We see it over the years that the England manager, for whatever reason, won't drop the big name players, and it makes the team worse for it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a denial thing, because I just saw an interview with Gareth Southgate on ITV saying that he thought Phil Foden did a wonderful job for England in the previous game. And obviously he's protecting his player, but, and it's not to blame Phil Foden. It's to your point about, the position that he has to be in. Stevie, let's talk about what England need to do here, because yes, to Oggie's point, Serbia are arguably the toughest team in this group. If anything, they're going to be in your face, be physical, etc. But England's biggest enemy, just like Oggie said about Southgate, England's biggest enemy is England itself, and they have to figure out what they want to do. What do you think England need to do? Not to just get out of the group and win it, but really just become a force and finally win the first major title since 1966.
Well, I think the goal should be to put a team on the field that can control the game for the majority of it. Nobody's ever generally going to control the game from the first minute to the last. I think we all get that. But you always get the feeling that England they're just a mistake away from tripping themselves up. You never ever feel as though the game's over. I think maybe there's too many of us think because of the names on the jerseys that they should be producing better football. But at the end of the day, if they can get a consistency level and keep it at that level and control games, then the quality that they do have, that little sparkle dust that Foden has and Bellingham has and Saka has, if you can get a level of performance, then that dust will eventually come to the surface. And that, for me, would be the ideal England performance. But I'm in Lulu land, because that's just generally not what England do. They start well, they get ahead, and then for some reason they try and just contain and forget and forget to keep playing. That is all the things that I think about when I think about an England side. But again, they're playing Denmark. I'm with Augie. I don't think Denmark's a good side. You know, this is, if you look at the Denmark team, it's probably full of mid-table Premier League players against a top Premier League team in England. I mean, that's kind of the way I'm looking at this game. And so that means it's about England. Can they produce? Can they do the ultimate, which is what I was asking for, talking about a level of performance that means that they're in control and then they pick off the opposition with the quality. That's the dream. Will it happen? Probably not. They're probably going to scuff through 1-0 England. I expect them to win, but I don't see any reason why they're going to be particularly dominant and completely change the mind of the majority of us.
Yeah, let's focus a little bit more on this lineup then. Oh, is there anybody that you would want to be in this starting 11 against Denmark? Obviously, the likes of somebody like Jude Bellingham is a no-brainer, but I got to tell you, like, I mean, obviously he's going to start, but, you know, the likes of, you know, Harry Kane, really, I don't know if he hasn't gotten over his back injury, but he looked a little quiet in that game. Is there anybody in this lineup that you say, I mean, we talked about Saka and Phil Foden, but what would be your lineup here? And we don't have to go player by player because we know Jordan Pickford will start, etc. But who would you want in this lineup starting off against Denmark?
I like Anthony Gordon. I think Anthony Gordon brings something different. He brings a directness to the team, a bit of ambition, and he will get behind the defenders. He would frighten Denmark. So I'd put him in, and it will probably be at the expense of Foden or Saka. I think either of those has to play on the right. Whoever's on the left, I think Anthony Gordon on the left. He's not as good a player as Phil Foden, but for what he would bring to this team, the impact he would bring, I think he's worth having a look at. And I think looking at Alexander-Arnold, I wouldn't play him in midfield. I think Wayne Rooney made a point last week saying he just can't defend, he can't play that role. Rooney said he shouldn't be anywhere near the midfield, and he's right. So I would play Kobbie Mainoo or Adam Wharton, and people think Adam Wharton's not even been a Premier League player for 6 months. Yeah, but he's a really good player, and he's perfect for that role. So would it be that much of a leap to play Adam Wharton against Denmark? Players that he's familiar with, like Stevie says, players that he'll see every week in the Premier League who aren't as good as him. So I'd be bold. I'd play Adam Wharton in midfield next to Declan Rice, and I'd put Anthony Gordon in and say, look, it's only Denmark. I'm sorry, Denmark, but it is. You know, England should beat Denmark. But the problem is that when England play a team, it's happened over the years, like against the Swedes or people like that, they kind of get dragged down to a physical battle because the Scandinavian teams are good in the sense of fitness. They can match England physically, and they tried to take it into one of those, you know, cul-de-sacs. England need to try and pass Denmark off the pitch, but they won't do that because they revert back to what they know, and it's just to try and beat teams with energy. So I don't expect it's going to be a good game to watch. I think it might be a bit of a slugfest, but, you know, if England win, they'll be happy with that.
Yeah,
I don't understand why you wouldn't play Bellingham, Rice, and Foden as your three. Bellingham's going to do everything. If he needs to defend, he'll get back in and defend, but he'll also get himself in the penalty box. I mean, it's kind of an old-fashioned. When you used to play 4-4-2, you know, one of the midfielders would go and one would sit, and then he would get back once they've gone. I mean, Bellingham would do that, no danger. He would do it in his sleep because he's probably, as a kid, brought up doing it. Maybe didn't do it so much with Dortmund or certainly with Real Madrid, but he can do that. And so that means that you put Foden where you're talking about, where he's best, and then you get Gordon on the left, who's going to liven things up and get after people. So that's what I would prefer to see.
Steve, just on the left-back situation, because obviously Trippier played left-back, he's right-footed. He's got Luke Shaw in the squad. Luke Shaw's not played since February, but you need the balance there. Would you play Shaw? Do you think he's just not played enough games to even consider it?
Honestly, I don't know why I took him. This is a guy that can't. He's hardly stepped on the field, number one. Number two, the fact that he hasn't played for so long, he wouldn't be able to last. So you're guaranteeing, I know you get 5 subs, but then you're taking a chance. You know, what if after 20 minutes, you figure out that he absolutely shouldn't be on, he's not fit enough, and you're 1-0 down. So I wouldn't go near Luke Shaw. I don't know why I took him. Absolutely, I would just leave Trippier where he is and then take it from there. At the end of the day, you want them to defend. If you've got Gordon in front of any of the fullbacks, then give them the ball and let them get at it.
the point of Phil Foden playing more centrally also echoes the fact that that's exactly where Pep Guardiola put him as well this past season. So you would think that that would have helped as well. I'm with you on Anthony Gordon. I like that direct approach that England need 100%. Personally, I think Ezri Konsa should have started the game, but we'll talk about that another time. Come on, Stevie. The same argument we have about Luke Shaw. Guehi was out for like 3 months as well.
Calm down.